Hello, fellow yappers. I'm Ruchi.
And I'm Shalini, and we're your hosts of Binge Yap Repeat.
We're two best friends who spend an embarrassing amount of time binge watching TV, and honestly, we just need to talk about it. If you're here, we're guessing you do too.
Fair warning, this is a spoiler-friendly zone. We will be discussing lots of spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the show yet, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us.
And now, it's yap time.
Hello, yappers! Welcome back to Binge Yap Repeat. Today's episode is about the show Deli Boys on Hulu. We recorded this back in March when the show came out, and since then we have realized some oopsie doopsies. And so we've sprinkled some oopsie doopsies in of things we realized that we got wrong. And I'm sure they will be as subtle as they were in our last episode.
Maybe even more so.
Yeah, we'll see. Listeners, let us know if you could even catch them. Before we get into that, though, Ruchi, I believe you have a fun fact / semi-oopsie doopsie from 4 seasons.
Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about this. I feel like we didn't, but a really fun fact from 4 seasons that I think it would be remiss of us if we didn't mention it is that there was actually a cameo in the 4 seasons TV series from the movie. So Alan Alda, who directed and starred in the 4 seasons movie, and he was Jack Burrows in the 4 seasons movie. He had a cameo in the 4 seasons TV series as Anne's dad. So I don't know if you remember, I think it was the second episode, the episode of the vow renewal, where they kind of had like Anne's dad kind of come in and say something about, like my wife would say, let's have a sex day or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember watching that scene being like, oh, why is this such an important scene? Like, because they put him like front and center full screen and everything. And I was like, whoa, why is this so important? It's because he was the original director of the 4 seasons movie.
Nice. That is a good point, that they really made a point of giving his character so much dialogue.
Yeah. I remember wondering, I was like, is this gonna come up later? Like, are we gonna get quizzed on this? This is so type A of me. That. Yeah, but my boyfriend Andrew mentioned it, and I was like, oh shit, like we should absolutely put that in the podcast. So
Yeah.
So an oopsie doopsie, that was kind of remiss of us, but it's more like a cameo oopsie doopsie.
Cameo oopsie doopsie.
It's more of a visual joke, honestly.
And before we get into the episode, our last announcement is that we will be releasing episodes of Binge Yap Repeat every Tuesday, Thursday from here on out.
We're trying to get more organized so we can offer a consistent experience for our users.
Yes.
We've been doing this, to be honest. We've been releasing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we didn't really say that we would be doing that. So we're trying to be
started doing it.
Yeah. So we're trying to be more consistent. So stay tuned for episodes Tuesday and Thursday mornings.
Great. All right. Well, I think that's it for now. Here's our episode on Deli Boys.
Welcome, yappers, to another episode of Binge Yap Repeat. Today, Shalini and I are going to yap about Deli Boys, which is a 10-episode comedy series that premiered earlier this year on Hulu. This show was created by Abdullah Saeed, a Pakistani American writer, and stars Asif Ali, Sagar Sheikh, Alfie Fuller, and Purna Jagannathan. And I'm super excited to be covering the show today with you, Shalini, because yay, brown representation.
Yay.
We love. I also love that I didn't know every single brown person that was in this show. So I was excited about that. We got some debuters here.
So true. It was a good mix of people that I was like, I know that person, and also like really talented people I've never heard of or seen before.
Yeah, Sagar definitely blew me away. He plays Raj Star. Yeah. I haven't really seen him in anything else before, so that was my first time seeing him on screen. I thought he did a great job. I did have a racist moment
No, tell me.
where I saw the trailer for the show and I was super excited and I was like, I didn't know Rahul Kohli was in this show.
Oh,
It is not Rahul Kohli. It was Sagar Sheikh. Yeah, another beautiful brown man with a beard,
Yes.
I may add.
yes, the thick eyebrows and the facial hair.
They do look very similar, but Sagar Sheikh is actually Pakistani American. And I think Rahul Kohli is like UK. He's like English, right?
Yeah. And listeners, Rahul Kohli, he was the chef in Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yes.
And he was also in the next season, the like
The
vampire
church
season.
one.
Yeah, or the zombie one.
Yeah,
the church
church
zombie island one.
Not to be confused with Tempty Island.
Very different Eileen vibes.
Okay, so I have a very important question for you, Shalini, because
Shoot.
as I know, you are a purchaser of the 1 liter water jug. So my question.
I'm sorry. I hope you mean 1 gallon water jug.
I'm so sorry. Wow, I'm dumb. Yes, as a purchaser of the 1 gallon water jug, would you purchase the Mega Glug? The Mega Glug was the thing at the very beginning of the series. The dad, Baba, was like, the reason that we've made our fortune is because we made the Mega Glug. You have 1 gallon of liquid coffee that you can put in your glug and it can still fit in the cup holder. I was like, that is low-key genius.
Dude, yes, I would 1000% buy the Mega Glug. In fact, I have like what I would say is the closest thing to a Mega Glug that I can think of right here. It's 40 ounces and it fits in the cup holder. I'm sure bigger ones exist actually. It's probably not the closest to a Mega
It's
Glug.
called the Mega Glug. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, Shalini would love that.
Oh my god, yeah. Dude, love liquids in large quantities.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, but my real question to you is, well, listeners, I know if you may not be able to see us, but our names are Ruchi and Shalini, so you can probably infer that we are brown Americans. So my question to you is, how did you feel, one, overall about the show, but more, how did you feel about the portrayal of like Pakistani and Indian Americans?
I thought they did a really good job. They hit on some things that I would say are my reality also, of just the tension between Pakistanis and Indians, or like the historical tension and how that still kind of plays out in today's society.
Yeah, and like our generation has like nothing to do with, like, we have no context at all. So
exactly. We're like, whoa, why are we talking about the partition? Like, why are we blaming today's Pakistanis for the partition, vice versa?
Yeah.
So I thought they did a really good job. I'm so glad they hit on that. It was also just cool. I feel like there's, out of the like handful of South Asian focused shows that are out there right now, there are so few on Pakistan, like so few on non-Indians, honestly. And so it was cool to see a non-Indian point of view. And then we can also get into this later, but I also liked how they portrayed like the South Asians versus East Asian, or Southeast Asian, maybe. I think they were Vietnamese.
Like
the
dynamics. The pho boys.
Yeah, the pho boys.
Yeah.
That was very interesting too.
I thought it was so good. I really liked how they turned this idea of a model minority on its head. And I do like how they really played with this concept of like, yes, there are very stereotypical things that were there in this show. That was a classic. Like, I've been through that experience. But then they also did a lot of like non-stereotypical things too. So I actually felt like it made the characters feel a lot more relatable in that they did also unrelatable things, right? It's like everyone was so like multifaceted, and like that's what I really enjoy, because I felt like, I don't know if you feel this way, but a lot of the shows that I would watch growing up, or even like, I don't know, in the last 10 years, they did feel very stereotypical. So like one show that comes to mind is Never Have I Ever. So she's unrelatable and like atypical in the fact that like she's going to therapy and she's in high school because she lost her dad. But at the same time, she is still very much a model minority because she's like super high achieving. She like wants to do all the things. get all the good grades, go to a good school, and like do the boy thing. There's still like an aspect of fitting into that stereotypical Indian box.
Totally. Yeah. And they didn't try to make any of these characters a model minority at all. In fact, I feel like they were actively trying to break out of that, which made it so funny.
I guess getting back to the other idea of like a model minority, I feel like Mirdar, he was kind of that model minority. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought was interesting, I think there are like 2 points here. One, that Mir, as the younger brother, was the high achieving, like, I just want to take over daddy's business. I went to business school type guy. And then the other aspect of that is that yes, he was like very straight laced and like very good at business. But by the end of this season, he was like, yeah, I still want to take over daddy's business, even though I know what that means now. So I thought that was also very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was so fun to see his evolution. And the second that he was the one that ended up killing Hamza, was like, oh, he's in. He's all in on this business.
Yeah, which is interesting because I think from the first episode, I was like, oh, they're going to do this thing where the younger brother is really good at business, super straight laced, but then the older brother, who's a degenerate, is going to be the one to take over daddy's real business because he's the guy who knows drugs. So that's what I thought it was going to be. But then they completely flipped it and they're like, no, man, business is business. Like, you go to Drexel, you can do anything.
You got the skills, bro.
Yeah. Wait, so speaking of Drexel, I know, Shalini, you spent some time in Philly. So what was it like seeing all the different like Philly references?
Oh yeah, it was fun. Yeah, okay, so I was at Penn for 2 years from 2020 to 2022. So it was fun to hear all the references. Like they referenced the Schuylkill River, which I live really close to, and they referenced the Rocky Steps and eating cheesesteaks, which classic. Also, I don't know if you clocked this, but they like referenced tranq tourism. Which, do you know
Wait, what is that?
I think this is extremely disturbing, but I think what they're referencing is like driving around the neighborhoods of like the drug riddled areas where you can see people like on tranquilizers, which is that ketamine, I think. It's time for an oopsie doopsie. The tranq tourism drug is actually fentanyl, not ketamine. They ain't no Mormon wives.
Doing ketamine therapy. Dude, we need to unpack that in our Secret Lives episode.
We sure will. Listeners, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is next, so go watch that next. All right.
Nice.
Back to the episode. Because there are like YouTube videos you can search. One of the neighborhoods I know of is Kensington. And if you look at YouTube videos of Kensington, it's literally people on tranquilizers all over the place, just kind of hunched over.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I think that's what they were referencing, which is highly disturbing.
Wait, what was the context? I don't not even clock the scene.
I think it was Lucky. I wish I remembered the exact line, but she was like, visiting Philly, why don't you just go up the Rocky Steps and eat a cheesesteak and do some tranq tourism?
Oh my God. No. Wow, I did not catch that. I think I remember it was when Tan France showed up, right?
Oh yes, I think that must have been it. Have been it.
Yeah, because I remember that line. Okay, but I didn't catch the tranq tourism. Probably like one of those things where I was like, I don't know what that is. Ignore.
Okay, other references I heard, they talked about La Colombe, which is a coffee shop that I guess it must have started in Philly. I actually don't know the history of La Colombe. I should, because I listened to a podcast about it like 4 years ago, but I don't remember. And then they talked about Fishtown, which we have been to.
Fishtown. Yeah.
And then the last reference that I clocked was the Drake Plaza Hotel. Well, actually, this is not a reference, but that's the hotel that Tan France kidnaps her in.
Yeah,
and I looked it up, and that hotel does not exist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't actually look this up, but did you recognize any of the scenes or like the scenery? Like, did they actually film in Philly?
They might have, but I think they're in South Philly, if I understood correctly.
Wee woo, wee
Listeners, it's another oopsie doopsie. So this show actually was not filmed in Philadelphia. It was filmed in Chicago. But be prepared. I'm about to talk for the next several minutes about how it may or may not have been in Philly, and I may or may not be recognizing certain places.
A city's a city, man.
All right, back to the episode.
So I think the Pho brothers are in West Philly because they talked about the Pho brothers being on the other side of the Schuylkill River. The Schuylkill
But
River
I thought they were like going after West Philly. Like both of them
Yes.
were going after West Philly.
I think, yeah, both of them are going after West Philly, but it was like historically the Pho brothers territory,
Oh, okay.
which made me think that the ABC deli that they work in and all of their operations are more in like the South Philly area, which is on the east side of the Schuylkill River.
I see. You're telling me that ABC Deli doesn't exist.
You know what? I actually haven't looked it up, but
Shalini, step one.
What am I doing? But yeah, so that's my guess is that they're in South Philly. Pho brothers are in West Philly. But yeah, I didn't spend a ton of time in either of those areas. So I didn't personally recognize anything. I think when they go to their Mr. Lasagna's house for the Super Bowl party,
Yeah.
I think that's in the Rittenhouse Square area. So I think that must have been pretty close to where I lived,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell exactly where it was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was wondering, like, while I was watching, I was like, I wonder if Shalini is getting nostalgic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh. Okay, well, we talked a little bit about Tan Fran's, but like that was one of my notes that I wrote down. I was like, Tan Fran's cameo?
Oh my god, that was so fun. Because I had just started a list of like, who I recognized from what, and then Tan France appeared on the screen, and I was like, oh my god.
I was actually very impressed by his acting because I know him a lot just from Queer Eye, and I think he was also a host on some like sewing or like fashion reality competition show. I can't remember the name of it. So I know him from those shows, but to see him in this kind of tough guy role that he was gonna, like chop off a few fingers and like kill a bunch of people, I was like, okay, he's actually doing quite well. Like, I believe it, in spite of knowing that he is such a sweetie from these other shows.
Who just wants to uplift people through their fashion.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Clockwork Orange, Peaky Blinders over here.
He was great.
He was great. Oh yeah, and then so we also touched a little bit about Lucky. One thing that I found really funny is that when we first meet Lucky, she's like, "Beta, like they were like, oh, Lucky auntie, are you gonna take care of us now?" And she's like, yeah, betas, I will take care of you. And then, like, as soon as it was revealed, like, what the business actually was, there was, like, a code switch, basically, where she, like, dropped the accent and then became, like, the lucky auntie that she was in the rest of the season. And I was like, she's so real for that.
She was awesome. Actually, one theme of the show that I really liked was that there was very little focus on romance through the whole show. Yeah. Which I really liked, but especially for her, because I feel like so often when there's one or two female characters, their main plot line is finding love.
Romance. Yeah.
And hers was like an anti-love plot line. Like anytime there was a guy interested in her, she was like, no.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Speaking of guys interested in her, Murder Wala was so funny. Okay, wait. Context for listeners. In Indian culture, it's very common to be like the milkman is like the doodh wala, or like the chai guy is the chai wala. So you just add wala everywhere as a suffix. So it was so funny that they're like, oh yeah, the guy that cleans up after our murders, the murder wala.
Yeah.
So funny.
I love the term murder wala.
Yeah. Just like, it's also so Indian to just like take a suffix and like literally attach it to everything that like felt natural. It's like, yeah, of course there would be a murder wala.
No, totally. If my parents were in this business, they would be saying the word murder wala. Yeah. It was so realistic.
So funny. It's like the coke wala, the murder wala, the distributor wala,
drug wala.
Yeah, so I guess like going back to your point about like Lucky's romance flings, yes, I agree. It was very much like, stop, don't even look at me.
I liked her in this show. Well, I did love her in Never Have I Ever. And she was also in The Night Of, which I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see it,
okay.
but I also went down a researching route on Purna Jagannathan and kind of just like looked up all the stuff that she did. But I did see The Night of it being referenced. But what is that one about?
That show is so good. I highly recommend you go watch it. It's also about a Pakistani American family. They live in New Jersey, and the son, one night he's out, he's like, borrowed his dad's cab to go to a party or something, and then this random girl jumps in thinking he's a cab driver and asks him to take her somewhere, and then they end up spending the night together. But then after, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, she's murdered in her bed and he's right next to her. And he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't really have memories of what happened because he was on drugs and drinking and stuff. And then he just tries to leave. I guess I'll just leave it there. But it's so good. It's such an amazing show. And it stars Riz Ahmed, who I think it's been in other stuff too, but that's what I know him from. So good. And so Purna Jagannathan plays his mom in that show.
Oh, I see. Oh my God, I love Riz Ahmed. Yeah, so I think he is best known for, I didn't know that he's also a rapper, but he's known for Nightcrawler. He's in Jason Bourne, Sound of Metal. And then, yes, also in The Night Of. I think Sound of Metal is actually how I know Riz Ahmed.
Cool.
Oh, he was also in Four Lions.
Nice.
Yeah. Sound of Metal was also pretty good, but Riz Ahmed is also a Pakistani actor. Well, he's like British Pakistani, but he wasn't in the show.
Yeah.
There's enough of us that not all of us have to be in the single show.
I love that for us. Just for South Asians everywhere.
Okay, there's a couple of other things that sparked my mind. Speaking of Lucky's love interest, the golf guy who turns out to actually be the assassin is one of them, right? I was confused actually when I was watching that. I was like, where is the trial and retribution for the golfer who kills this guy in the middle of a golf course? Like, maybe that's a plot hole, I don't know, but I was like, what? It's not like he killed him and then just walked away, right?
I mean, he could have.
Yeah, but there should be like some we questioned him or something. I mean, I guess it's just like
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a golfer, so I don't really know, but I
imagine people in golf. That's not part of the game.
Oh, is that how you play? Okay, but how I imagined it was that the hit came from so far away that they couldn't even fathom who had hit it, and like the person who hit it didn't even know where their ball landed. Because people hit golf balls like they can hit them really far, right? Presumably past where they can see.
That's true, but in this scene we did see them in the background.
You saw who hit it. Oh, okay. I did not.
I mean, it was just like really, really tiny figures, but you would see, like, you saw the guy swing, and then the ball comes through Miradar who are looking at him, and then the ball comes in. So you do see him in the background, but I'm happy to ignore the plot.
Yeah, definitely a plot hole, but it's okay.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, one other thing that I wrote down, which I thought was super, super funny, going back to the relatability point, in the first episode where they're doing the funeral and then they're like doing the prayers or whatever, and then Raj and Mira like just say the prayers, and then they're the only two that get down on their knees and like,
oh my God. That was so
And
funny.
then they get kicked by the uncle. They're like, oh God, it's not.
Get up.
We're not bending down at this moment. I laughed at that so hard because that was so relatable.
Yeah.
It's like just going to temple or something and then being like, now what do I do? Like, now what do I do? And just looking at parents to guide you on like when to bow and when to pray and when to like, bow your head or not bow your head.
And you're like, oh, is this the repeating part of the puja? Or is this just the listening part? Like, I don't understand Sanskrit.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought that was so funny that like without their Baba, they really were like lost in this culture. They had to rely on Ahmed and other people to kind of get them in line. So I thought that was really funny. That was a good
So
touch.
funny. Deeply relatable.
Yeah. Unrelatable, the Princess Mononoke character,
Nandika.
Nandika.
She was so funny. I thought she was one of the funniest people on this show. Her comedic timing was so good.
Yeah, she was great. I say that she's unrelatable, but I actually found her quite relatable.
Yeah,
Yes, an anime-obsessed brown girl. I understand.
that's
I
true.
understand completely.
She's basically you.
Stop. Also, I laughed that her dad was like, she's in Pikachu cosplay.
Also so relatable.
Also, the dad, the other part that made me laugh was when the gun was pulled on Nandika's dad. And then he was like, you know what? Just kill me.
Oh my god, yeah. He was like, just take me. I have nothing good in this life anyway. So his wife is standing right there.
Classic Indian parent masochism. Just kill me. Just take my life. Just take the knife and put it in my heart. Oh my god.
It reminds me of how you told me once, you were like, sometimes my mom calls me and she's just like, Ruchi, I'm dying. You're like, don't die, Mom.
Oh my god. It's like mental health is unfortunately such a joke in the Indian
I
community.
know. I know.
Go to therapy. Anyone who's listening to this, everyone should go to therapy. It will help you. Yeah. But anyway, and then I thought it was funny how it turned into Mir giving the Indian dad therapy. It's like,
Oh,
so much to live for. I thought that was really cute.
that was so funny. I loved all the dynamics with that family. That
Yeah.
family was so good.
That family really rallied around like getting Nandika married.
They're like, whatever it takes. Like, Grandpa, shut up about this partition bullshit. Like, get this girl married.
Yeah, it was so funny. Oh my gosh. Wait, sorry. I love that scene so much. But the other thing that I thought was hilarious was when Mir pulls out the jar of achar, he was like, here it is. Like, if your kid doesn't get bullied by the white kids in your class when they pull this out of your lunchbox.
Oh my god. Also so relatable.
So relatable. Did you get bullied by like what you put in your lunchbox?
I didn't get bullied, but I was definitely super self-conscious about it. But I don't think I ever actually got bullied for it.
Yeah, same. I don't think I got bullied, but I remember I asked my mom to make dahibat or yogurt rice or curd rice because I loved curd rice growing up. And so she gave it to me for lunch one day, and I was super excited. I was taking it out, and then I was like eating my yogurt rice, and then these like white kids were like, "What are you eating?" And I was like, "Oh, it's yogurt rice." And I think in like kids' minds, yogurt is like a sweet like, thing, like a vanilla thing. So they're like, "What the? Why are you eating like dessert?" And I was like, "No, it's good. There's like salt in it." And
It's a great source of protein.
Yeah. And so I think like that was a moment that really stands out in my head of like, we don't have universal experiences. Everyone in the world is like different.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah.
I think also I had an older sister, so I think she definitely carried a lot of the brunt about like being an older sibling and being like, oh, this is what you should or should not do, or like because she went through a lot of these trials and tribulations, like she in essence paved the way for me to go to high school and be like, all right, I'm gonna eat what I eat, like, and I'm gonna do what I do, and like it'll be fine.
Totally.
Yeah. So was that like different for you as the older child?
Oh, honestly, I feel like my sister and I might have had like opposite experiences too, because I think the people in her year were just like meaner in general. Like I can't think of times I was actually bullied or like I was definitely self-conscious, but I don't think I in any way really like paved the way for her. I would say maybe the only difference is our names. Like I was the guinea pig in that situation where like my parents were like, "Oh, Shalini, like what a easy to pronounce Indian name that white people everywhere will." Yeah, exactly. Here we are, 31 years later. I still go by Shalini because people in kindergarten could not say my name. Versus, I feel like Anjali is a way more common / easy to pronounce Indian name.
Yeah. It's in a
and
lot of
so-
Bollywood movies.
Yeah, it's in so many Bollywood. Kajol everywhere is Anjali.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. She always played an Anjali.
Yeah, that's true. My parents named me and my sister specifically, like so that we would have easy to pronounce names by white people. So my sister's name is Mita. It's like you can't really mess that up. And then my name's Ruchi. It's like I think the worst thing that I get is probably Rushi or like sometimes Ruki. And the grand scheme of things, that's not that bad. Like I still know when you're referring to me. But versus there's a coworker of mine whose name is Chaitanya. And one time my manager, who's like a white American man, tried to pronounce his name. He was like referencing Chaitanya to me and he was like, oh yeah, this guy Sharon. And I was like,
Oh no.
who are you talking about? And he's like, then he just described his role and I was like, oh, Chaitanya? And he was like, yes, that's it. In today's age, it still happens.
Still happening. My coworker recently pointed out to me that any ethnic sounding name with more than 2 syllables is hard to pronounce. And I'd never thought about it in terms of the number of syllables, but I feel like it's kind of true.
It's
Mine's
true.
3 syllables. Yours is 2 syllables.
My sister's name is 3 syllables, but they shortened it. Like she just goes by Mita.
Oh, is she Mitali?
Yeah, Mitali.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So I guess they wouldn't have been able to get it wrong if I was just Shalu.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they would probably refer to you as Shamu.
True. That's what iPhone thinks it is.
My autocorrect always corrects my name to like Roach. No. No,
Roach and Shamu.
Yeah, classic Roach and Shamu on the radio.
And my full name, Shalini iPhone, it used to autocorrect to shaking.
Oh yes, I got that too on my autocorrect when I would text you. It'd be like shaking. No. Oh, speaking of names, did you realize that we are also Dars? We're the
You're
Dars.
right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Jahagir and Majumdar.
We belong in the Dar family.
Yeah, I want a cut of the business.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
I don't want to get cut.
no. Whoa. One thing I noticed was that for the most part, like all of the accents seemed really genuine.
Yeah.
And I'm always super sensitive to when like someone's trying to do an Indian accent, but they're clearly not from India. And so they're doing this affected Indian accent. One example I can think of is Richa Morjani, who plays Kamala on Never Have I Ever. Like her accent is so over the top and it really bugs me. But on the other hand, I thought this show did a really good job. Like, it seemed like they never cast anyone who was faking an accent, really. The only one I clocked, which I looked up and was true, was Hassan, who's played by Ahmed Lukan. He was one of the gundas in their boardroom.
In the Dark Darko board.
Yeah, the Dark Darko board. He was on that, and when he spoke in his Pakistani accent, I was like, that sounds fake. And then I looked it up, and he's from America.
Oh, I wonder why maybe it was like an actor's choice or maybe it was like their choice. Because I do feel like, we talked about how Lucky did like the code switching accent where she affected an accent and then like completely dropped it. And then I don't think like any of the others had accents, nor did they need to. So
well, some of them had Pakistani accents that sounded like pretty genuine, and then one of them just had an American accent. And then,
like on the board?
Yeah, on the board. One of the board members had an American accent, but then this guy was clearly American but was putting on a Pakistani accent. So I don't know what the thought behind that was.
That's true. I wonder why. But I agree with you. I totally feel like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So actually, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this example with Fresh Off the Boat. Did you ever watch that show?
I've seen so many random episodes of that show on flights, but I've never actually chosen to watch it when I'm not on a plane.
Okay. Well, Fresh Off the Boat, it's about an East Asian family. It stars Constance Wu and Randall Park. And it's about this family who's immigrated to Florida. And they're growing up in Florida. And their kids are very American. But Constance Wu doesn't have an accent. But in the show, she puts on this really, really heavy like Chinese accent. And I think like part of it is just like the comedy of it. Another part is to make it more relatable that they are like immigrants who have come to Florida and are trying to make it work, which is relatable. But I think there was some just controversy around that where like Chinese Americans were like, why
didn't they just cast someone who is from China?
Yeah, like if she is doing the accent for comedic purposes, then like why is it funny, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on that are like, why, unless they really wanted her specifically for the show, which, yeah, I guess is fair. Like, why did it have to be someone who's American playing this character, portraying this character who's like an immigrant? Why couldn't it have been actually someone who's Chinese?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
Who's from China.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like I think Constance, let me just look up Constance Wu really quickly. Yeah, so she was born in Richmond. But the other thing is that Randall Park is also in the show, and Randall Park does not have an accent in the show.
Really?
Yeah. So yes, Randall.
And okay, if I remember correctly, is part of the plot that he assimilates okay into work life, but then she's suffering a little more?
That might be it.
Assimilating?
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be part of the plot. But also, I don't know, if you were like writing a show about, well, maybe that is part of the plot. If you're writing a show and you like want the guy to like act a certain way and like try to assimilate more and like go to Outback Steakhouse with his coworker as well, the wife has a harder time, then yeah, I guess I would understand like why you would give the wife an accent and not the husband. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. It's just, it's interesting to me how they decide to cast those parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no clear reason for like this random person to have
in the dark board.
Yeah, dark go. Well, I guess like similar. Okay, this might be a controversial topic, but similar to how they cast people in the parts. One thing I've noticed is that Hollywood in general, they are now coming under more and more scrutiny because they're trying to get Indigenous people to play Indigenous parts and trans people to play like trans parts and like, gay people to play gay parts, etc. Right? Basically trying to uplift these minorities to be the face for these roles. And there have been times where they've really hit the mark and times where they've really missed. So for example, like Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell, just like white American woman playing this like Japanese character. There is Emma Stone who played this Hawaiian character. And there's like countless other examples, right? Of like white, like blackface and yellowface and whatever. One thing that I noticed that didn't come into any controversy at all was that this was a show about Pakistani Americans, but there were also Indian people playing Pakistanis. So is that an issue? Is that not an issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just curious to hear your thoughts.
It's a good question. I guess like I don't think I have a super strong opinion in this specific case just because I know like a lot of these people like Baba Dar, for example, he is Pakistani, but he plays an Indian on a lot of shows too. And so I don't know. I feel like to some extent, like, I don't know where the line is or like how big the borders are. But at some point, we all have similar enough experiences that we can portray characters of like this group of people. And I think on one extreme, I do think it would be way too limiting to like only have, you know, a Pakistan, or maybe this is a bad example because there are a lot of actors for this role, but let's say for Mirdar's role, like how many Pakistani American men of this age who have lived an experience similar to enough to this exist? And like, so on one extreme, I feel like it's just limiting to have that mindset. But then on the other hand, like, obviously we shouldn't have white people playing Japanese or Hawaiian people. So yeah, I think that the line is somewhere in between. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised by how many like authentic, like actually Pakistani people were on the show, and they didn't just like stick a bunch of Indians in there and like make a Pakistani show about it. But I thought the show did a great job of it. I think if there were a few more Indians, I would not have had an issue with that per se. Or if the situation was reversed and it was a show about Indians and there were more Pakistanis in it. But yeah, definitely a line somewhere. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I guess like I kind of came to the same conclusion. I was like, okay, well, obviously Emma Stone playing Hawaiian is probably not the best. But then it kind of struck me as, oh, are there like tiers of people that are swappable? Like, is it okay? Oh, because like Pakistan and India haven't been two separate entities for more than 100 years. Like, it's okay to treat them as the same. Or like, until we reach a critical mass of like Indians and Pakistanis in the media, they have to be treated in one group as like browns. Like Southeast Asians or something.
Hairy Asians, as Hassan Minaj once called us.
Yeah, exactly. Because I do feel like now, which is great, we've come to this stage in Hollywood where like we can differentiate and we do make a fuss if a Chinese person plays a Korean, or like if a Korean person plays like a Thai person or something like that, without having like a strict connection to that country. So I think that's great. Like there was definitely a time in my lifetime where all East Asians were treated in the same bucket. So yeah, I wonder if there will come a time, like maybe in the next 20 years, where we'll be like, yo, that was kind of fucked up that like an Indian person played like this Pakistani person in this show.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that East Asians, the tune is kind of changing already. And so it's probably just a matter of time when there's more brown representation in Hollywood that we have the luxury of being able to call out those distinctions and casting specifically to those roles.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how things will change. Well, I have a hard pivot. I remembered something else in this show that I wanted to talk about. What I noticed is that there is parallelism in the misogyny of both what Purna's character was facing in Darko, and also what the FBI character was facing in the FBI agent Mercer, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting that they kind of put these two parallel stories together, and they're like, look, misogyny is everywhere.
Don't worry, it's universal.
Yeah, whether you're brown or white.
Oh yeah, okay, wait, let's talk about the FBI. I was so confused about the FBI director guy. Okay,
Yeah.
so he was a January 6ther, but then like it seems like they're friends by the end of it. I'm so confused.
I was really hoping that you wouldn't ask me this because I also was kind of confused. So I don't think he actually was a January 6th.
Oh,
I
he
think
wasn't?
he did participate in January 6th, but he was an inside guy in the January 6th things.
Wait, what does inside guy mean?
Like, he was a part of the January 6th riots so that he could take out the other January 6th rioters as an FBI agent.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. I was like, why are they like why are they humanizing him?
Yeah, no, I was also confused because at the beginning I thought it was, oh, it's a boys club and he is meant to be this super conservative dude guy who is gonna, be a boys club guy. But then, no, I think it was revealed that, yes, he took a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk, but it was so that he could bring all
with
his other
the in
dudes
crowd
to justice. Yeah. And then he also has a line later on where he was like, in order to really infiltrate this group, you have to be one of them. I fucked that guy's sister at his wedding or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, and that's why he makes a big fuss about going undercover at the Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it all comes together. Oh, I'm so glad we talked about this because I was like, the entire show, I was like, why is this man on my screen? Like, get this January 6th rioter off my screen.
Yeah. Okay, I really hope I'm right. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but that was definitely one of the things where I'm like, I think this is what's happening, but I don't care enough to like go back and rewind and actually confirm.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, well, the other thing about the FBI people, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the first episode, the pilot, there are two women FBI agents, right? And they're both at the funeral because the brothers are like, do you think that was one of Baba's? And they look at Agent Mercer and they're like, no, she's too white. And then he was like, do you think that was one of Baba's? And it's the other FBI agent. And then Raj was like, yeah, actually, she has a strong jaw. But then after episode 1, we don't ever see her again. It's just the one. Yeah. So I wonder if they did some focus groups after the pilot and we're like, how do you feel about having 2 female FBI agents? And people were like,
Huh? Maybe they could only cast her for the pilot, but couldn't get her to sign on to the full show once the pilot
yeah.
got
Or maybe
accepted
the
or
second
whatever.
one was like busy by the
Yeah,
time they actually got the show to start filming.
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I totally forgot about the second female FBI agent. That would
Yeah.
have changed the show a lot.
I think so, right? I was like, she would have had a friend.
Yeah, because Agent Mercer's like entire plot line is about being in this boys' club.
Exactly.
Wow.
That probably did. That's probably one of the plot lines that they decided to just focus on a little bit more. They're like, oh, if we had 2, then it wouldn't be so distinct.
Yeah. And now we can draw parallels between Lucky and Agent Mercer.
Well, yeah. Okay. Want to chat about anything else?
Let me see. Oh, okay. Have you seen Abadar in anything else that you remember?
Glee
Okay, yes,
and Community.
yes, okay, I totally forgot about both of those things. He was just one of those people where I'm like, he's been in so many things. I think I've seen him my entire childhood, and I just couldn't place him in any one thing. For some reason, I thought he was a Bollywood actor. I thought he was the guy that plays Rani Mukherjee's dad in Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, but no, that's a completely different guy. There's my racist moment.
Okay, we each get one. No
We each
more.
got one. They objectively look similar, I think. But
No.
anyway.
I remember this guy because he made me laugh so hard during this one Glee episode. I think they did like a Kesha song in Glee, and then he was like, "Oh, Gi $sign ha." Every time I look at like Kesha written out, I'm like, Gi $sign ha.
Okay, that's really funny. So yes, he is Principal Figgins in Glee, but then he's been in so much stuff. He was just everything in my memory.
Yeah. What else has he been in? Because I only know Glee and Community are the 2 that stand out.
Okay. I only wrote down a few of them of the shows that I've seen him in. But this is only a small smattering of shows from what he's played one role in one episode of like 50 shows. So he was in an episode of Seinfeld, an episode of Sister Sister, a few episodes of ER. He was Abed's dad in Community. He was in an episode of Mad About You, Roseanne, King of the Hill, The West Wing, Judging Amy, Arrested Development, and I totally forgot this, but he was in an episode of Never Have I Ever. He was an uncle.
Who did he play? Wait, like her uncle?
I think he was one of her uncles, but I don't remember what his role was, but yeah.
Wow, I need to go back and check because I really don't remember him in Never Have I Ever.
Yeah, me neither. Just one episode, but yeah, that's what he's been in.
What a work ethic.
I know. This man has been booked and busy.
Oh, actually, one thing that I wanted to mention that Purna has been in, Purna Jagannathan. So I read this on her Wikipedia. So it says, Purna also co-conceived, produced, and acted in the play Nirbhaya, which was considered one of the most powerful and urgent pieces of human rights theater ever made, and is regarded as a critical moment in India's history of women empowerment. So I was like, oh, what is Nirbhaya? It's basically a play that translates to fearless, and it's a pseudonym that's given to this victim of a gang rape and murder. So yeah, about this woman who they've like used to be the face of women empowerment in India, which is I thought was great. Well, not great, but yeah. So apparently, what happened is that Purna Jagannathan was like actually witnessed this like murder in Delhi, and then was so traumatized by it that she turned it into this play and like became a spokesperson for like calling out how women are treated in India.
No way.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of Nirbhaya.
But yeah, so it won the coveted 2013 Amnesty International Award, as well as a bunch of other different awards. Some reviewers stated that was one of the most political and deeply moving pieces of theater ever made.
Dang. We should
know.
watch it.
I'm kind of down, but also like not down.
Yeah. Is that okay? We need to be in the right headspace for it.
Yeah. I'm down to watch it with you when we
Okay.
feel like our lives are going super well and we're like incredibly empowered. But I do want to watch it. I think it feels like a powerful piece.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, who knew that the mom in Never Have I Ever and Deli Boys also did all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. The last person I wanted to talk about is the guy that plays Ahmed.
Hmm.
So his name is Brian George.
What?
Yeah. And he's British. And he was born in Israel to Jewish parents of Indian and Iraqi descent. So he's half Indian, half Iraqi, grew up in Britain, born in Israel, and is Jewish.
How diverse.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I do know that, well, okay, India is a subcontinent, and like there's many, many different types of people in India, including a Jewish part of India. So there are definitely a lot of Indian Jewish people out there.
Yeah. And he's also a man with a very, very long list of acting credits. One of which, maybe you clocked this, he voiced the suit of armor in Hotel Transylvania. That's what I know him from.
I did not clock that.
No, I'm
I
just kidding.
not once thought to myself, this man, something about him.
No, but in all seriousness, some of the things that I wrote down was that he was in Married with Children, an episode of Boy Meets World, episode of Grey's Anatomy. He was the doctor in Secret Life of the American Teenager. And
Huh.
then what I remember him from is that he was Babu in Seinfeld, who I think owned that Indian
Oh,
restaurant across the
yes!
street. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's true. Okay, now I remember for sure.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me. Wow, Babu. And he was the guy who they gave him advice on how to run his restaurant, and then he immediately went out of business, right?
Yep. That's
Great,
the
great,
one.
great, great. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen to our folks at Dark Darko. So I guess like two characters that we haven't really talked about, love interest wise, are Prairie and Bushra. So Raj's girlfriend and Mir's ex-fiance.
Yeah.
And I guess also this concept of arranged marriage. Let's just talk about all of it.
Oh yeah. Okay, Nandika, I guess, also counts as love interest.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious how they're like, let's have a wedding. Like, we need to have a wedding no matter what. Let's remove one couple and just insert another, and it doesn't matter who it is. And I love how the vows for Raj and Nandika were just like, even though I just met you,
The vows were so funny.
can't wait to continue to get to know you.
He was like, remember that time we smoked weed together? That was yesterday. Yeah, it's so funny.
It really reminded me of the trailers for Love is Blind Habibi.
Oh,
like,
I never watched that.
all of the previous Love is Blinds were like, it's so crazy, like getting to know your wife, like without ever meeting her. That's crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then Love is Blind Habibi is like, yeah, this is how my grandparents met, so excited to carry on the tradition. So that's kind of
so
what same vibes.
funny.
Where even the wedding guests were like, this is kind of strange, but honestly not the strangest.
Yeah, I loved that one of the guests was like, wait, what's going on? Who are these people?
Yeah.
Like, whose wedding are we at?
Yeah. Also, how like when Bushra was like walking out of the venue, her mom was already on the phone with other aunts.
Oh my
being
God.
like, okay, you'll get to meet this guy. Like, he's a little chubby, but he's rich or something.
Yes, that is also like one of the most relatable things ever.
Yeah. Okay, question. Do you
Mhm.
think that Bushra is a villain?
Oh, no, I didn't think so at all. I thought she was kind of the relatable, like the viewer's point of view and like having to come to terms with all of this as someone who didn't know. Or, I mean, I guess the main brothers are also like the viewer's point of view, like being introduced to all of this at once. But yeah, I thought she was pretty reasonable. She was like, I'm fine if you do this. I just like don't want to be involved. And also I think it's fair to like not want your own wedding to be a front.
Yeah, that's fair. I think at first I was like, it's fine to reap the benefits of the horrible things that you're doing as long as you don't explicitly know about it. But then as soon as you do explicitly know about it, you're like, you're out.
I'm out.
Yeah. So I think that was a very interesting foil to the Coke guy's wife, who was like, yeah, I support him no matter what, because I love him.
Oh my god, I forgot about that Coke guy. Yeah, okay, yeah. His wife was the other extreme of like, calm down, lady. Like, you don't have to be this into your husband being a Coke manufacturer.
The Coke-walla.
Coke-walla, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point, but I also think it's fair to not want to know the details, but still be okay with the bad stuff happening. I think.
Yeah, like as long as you are not involved and as long as you still have the money.
Yeah, right. Like I think it's fair to not want to be involved because that would also make her implicated, you know, if she like knew details and
yeah, I guess. And in some ways I think she was like trying to be supportive and be like, it's not really the lifestyle that I want. I don't know. I think she had her flaws, I will say. I agree. I understand that it's reasonable to not want your wedding to be a Coke front. Like that makes sense to me. Yeah, but I just thought it was an interesting thing. What about Prairie?
Oh my gosh.
Prairie. I love that girl. No. Well, okay. I guess technically yes, but she obviously didn't want to be, and like she was not trying to be the villain. It was just so like it broke my heart when she was like, I'm gonna wear this mic just so you know that he's not lying. And I was like, oh no, Prairie, honey. But I loved her character. I thought she was so funny. And like the voice, I don't know if that's her natural voice, but like her high pitched voice was so funny. And yeah, just everything about her.
Yeah, I thought her voice was very soothing. So every time that she actually did come on screen and she was like, oh, and now let me pray to the gods for your forgiveness. I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm so relaxed right now. So I thought they did a great job, like casting her. She was great.
I also, at the beginning of the show, I couldn't tell what her and Raj's relationship was.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know why, but I didn't expect him to be like such a monogamist, you know? Like just based on his lifestyle and stuff. But then it turns out they were like in a committed relationship, which I thought was so sweet.
I wonder if this is also another change that happened after the pilot was released. Because definitely in the pilot, it was like, oh, my orgy cabal.
Right.
and then after Raj like stopped having money, Prairie was the only one who stuck around, I guess. But yeah, it did seem like he was committed to her. Oh, that reminds me. One thing that I wrote down was the concept of a twin flame.
Oh yeah.
He was like, she's my twin flame. Which I thought was really funny because I don't know if you saw the Twin Flame documentary that came out on Netflix like a couple months ago, years ago at this point. Yeah, well, I think like now it's kind of like this Gen Z term for soulmate is like, oh, like they're my twin flame. But the actual like origin of the twin flame cult is like crazy.
Oh my God, what?
I will leave it at that. This is not going to become a twin flame episode.
Okay.
Because I can very easily have a twin flame episode. Yeah, if you have time in between all of the binge watchings, you should binge watch Twin Flame.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Should we rate the show?
Let's do it. I would say an 8. Because I I feel like I've said before, rewatchability is a big factor. I actually did watch this season twice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, now that I know like everything that's going on, I kind of want to like rewatch it and see what I pick up on. And I thought it was a really enjoyable show. It was also like a good background show in some places,
Yeah.
but it was really lighthearted, very funny, and also just want to see more brown representation. Want to represent.
Yeah.
Want to support my people.
Nice.
So I'll give it an 8.
Okay, cool. I think I will give it a 7. I also really liked it. I don't think I can rate it higher than apple cider vinegar because I wasn't like craving to finish the show like I was with apple cider vinegar. But it was super enjoyable. I thought everyone was super hilarious, and the way they edited it was so funny with the timing of when people said stuff, and it was a really, creative plot and great acting.
Yeah, I can't wait for season 2.
Me too.
So, it's time for a binge in progress segment where Shalini talks about Gilmore Girls. You want to kick us off?
Sure. Well, I have made progress in Gilmore Girls, mostly because, well, Ruchi and I were on a trip to Austin this weekend for 2 of our friends' joint bachelorette trip, and I used Gilmore Girls as my like show slash podcast slash music to fall back asleep to if I wake up in the middle of the night. So there was a lot of that because I did not sleep very well on this trip. And so, yeah, I've made it through several more episodes. I am now, I believe, on Teach Me Tonight towards the end of season 2.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Airbnb was pretty janky, so
It
not
was, oh my
surprised.
goodness. It was like whatever Marriott's competitor to Airbnb is, and it was the most shoddily put together house ever. The
Yeah.
shower handle didn't work. If you made it too hot, the shower would just turn off.
Oh my god. What the heck?
I know. And like if I leaned back against the headboard would just like
Oh
tilt
my
backwards.
God. Oh my god, it's worse than I thought. Jeez.
Yeah, it was not great.
Mm-mm.
Got the job done though.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't have to share beds.
I shared with Poonim.
Oh no.
It'd be like that. Anyway, all of this stuff contributed to me not sleeping great. But you know what? Made progress in Gilmore Girls, so
Great. Always be watching.
always be watching. And then the other thing I watched was after I got home from Austin, I ended up watching 101 Dalmatians, the animated movie from 1961, because I was in the mood.
From 1961?
Yeah, it's so old. Isn't
No
that
way.
crazy?
101 Dalmatians?
Yeah.
No way. I'm looking this up right now.
Do it.
What in the world?
I know, right?
That was from 1961?
Pretty impressive animation, honestly.
Oh my god, seriously. I really thought it was in like the 90s.
I know. So did I. And then my sister and I watched it together, and right when we were about to start it, we were like, what? 1961? And so then we were prepared to see some pretty problematic stuff because it was from so long ago. But actually, there was nothing I noticed.
Wow. I mean, I guess dogs weren't racist.
Yeah. But also because you know how there's a boy Dalmatian and a girl Dalmatian? You know how sometimes in animation they make the boy version of an animal or creature just look normal, but then the girl will be like pink or have super long eyelashes or look extremely feminine, but the boy just looks normal? One really heinous example I can think of is the volcano Pixar short before Inside Out.
Oh, yes.
Where the boy volcano is just a volcano, but then the girl volcano has
It's like a
long
woman.
flowing hair and is literally a woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was expecting something like that with the 2 dogs, but I don't know how. I was trying to pinpoint how they made Perdita, the girl dog, look more feminine than Pongo, the boy dog, but I couldn't, so I was very impressed. Yeah.
I feel like what's it? It's like the Pixar mom effect is what I've seen on social media. So I wonder if that's a Pixar specific thing, or maybe
Maybe.
Disney was just like, it would be weird if we gave a dog boobs, right? They just didn't. Wow, that's crazy. Now I'm like, I wonder when Aristocats was. Oh my god, that was 1970.
Whoa,
Jeez.
I thought that was also the 90s. Wow.
Maybe we just thought that way because we were
Because
born in
we
the
watched it
90s.
in the 90s? Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, we're such self-centric children viewers. We're like, oh, I'm watching this for the first time. So it must have just come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or maybe it like came out on VHS because like that was the technology in the 90s.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Wow. My world is rocked. Crazy.
I know. Ruchi,
Nice.
what are you watching?
Since the last time that we recorded, I finished up all the episodes of Devil's Plan that were out, and there are 3 more episodes coming out on Tuesday. So by the time I think this episode will be out, the new episodes of Devil's Plan will be out, which, yes, I think they're the final 3 episodes.
Oh.
Yeah. Shalini, you should watch it.
Okay. You know, I have a hard time watching shows that aren't in English if I'm not like with someone who's also watching with me, because I think I pay attention better to shows and movies when I'm watching with someone. And if I'm by myself, I'm just not I'm gonna be on my phone or something, and I just can't pay attention to the subtitles enough to stay hooked.
That's very fair. And Devil's Plan is not only in Korean, it's like you got to pay attention because they're like
God.
talking about like rules of the games and everything. And there's like multiple games and they're very mentally intensive games. So if you're not paying attention to a rule, you're like, oh, why did what just happen? Why was that a big deal? So, but I think it's a great watch. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then also watching.
Maybe I'll give it a try.
Yeah. And then also watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I experienced a little bit of whiplash because I started watching Secret Lives soon after I finished Devil's Plan, and those are probably the 2 most different shows I've ever watched consecutively. Like, I had got so much whiplash from watching Secret Lives. I was like, I didn't really pay attention, but I came back and they're still talking about the same thing. And it's very obvious that what they're talking about is just 2 sides of the same coin. Why don't they realize that? What's the strategy here?
Come on. Someone needs to tell them.
Yeah, so then the first couple episodes of Secret Lives were not very enjoyable to me. But then I think I have what you feel about Devil's Plan, I feel about reality shows. So then Andrew started watching with me and like giving me drive-by comments that made the show so hilarious that I was like, okay, I want to watch this with Andrew next to me, who like only knows half of the drama that's going on. Like, I started episode 3 or 4 or something, and he was like, wait, these are Mormons? They're so hot.
Yes, Andrew, you've just discovered the hook of this show.
Yeah, and then he like watched the opening, like the intro scene where they're like in the water and like doing like sexy like shh, and he's like, the opening is so ridiculous. And there are a couple other bangers, and I just started writing them down, so maybe I'll sprinkle them in during the episode.
Yes, please do. I think that was maybe also the reason I watched 101 Dalmatians yesterday, because I had also just finished I had just finished binging Secret Lives of Mormon Wives to catch up so that we could record our episode on it. And after that, I was just like so burnt out from the messy conversation, and like my mind was just filled with like Jen, Whitney, Taylor, Dakota,
Pongo.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my god, I need a cleansing, wholesome thing to watch right now that'll just make my heart feel warm.
Well, why didn't you watch Gilmore Girls?
Oh, because my sister was also there, and she doesn't really, I mean, she's seen Gilmore Girls, but she doesn't want to be watching it all the time.
Oh, okay. You needed a neutral zone.
Yeah.
I can't believe 101 Dalmatians was in that neutral zone. Yeah, what else? Oh, Love, Death, and Robots also came out on May 15th, but haven't had a chance to watch that yet. So probably we'll just watch more of Secret Lives tonight, make my way over to Love, Death, and Robots tomorrow, make my way to, oh my God, there's so much to watch. Love, Death, and Robots and Devil's Plan and Secret Lives.
And Sirens comes out in 3 days.
And Sirens. There's simply too much to do. Always be watching.
Always be watching, dude.
We can't afford 101 Dalmatians, Shalini.
Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging!